All right, folks, before we dive into the craziness today, I just want to give a shout out to all of you for tuning in to this one-of-a-kind channel. You're here because you're tired of the same old mainstream bullshit, and you know where to find the real talk right here with Chris Dallas, dual ped, and celebrity recreations. Everything you're about to see here, all the ideas come straight from the mind of Chris Dallas and not the celebrities he's portraying. It's just some wild and awesome creative fun. So let's keep it peaceful, everyone, and enjoy the show for what it is, pure entertainment, but with a shitload of facts in it, that's for sure. So if you're new here, make sure to subscribe, like, comment, and share. This is where you get the real talk. Let's keep this movement going and get the truth out there.
Absolutely. Couldn't have said it better, Joe. You won't find content like this anywhere else, folks. Chris Dallas and Dual Pid, they're doing an amazing job bringing you the raw, unfiltered stories. So hit that subscribe button, share it with everyone, and let's make sure the real story gets told.
All right, here we go, folks. We're back, and today we've got the man everyone's talking about, Donald J. Trump. Mr. President, thanks for joining us here today.
Thank you, Joe. Always a pleasure. People are calling this the biggest podcast ever. Millions of views already. That's incredible.
Yeah, it seems like every time we do this, people lose their minds. But hey, let's dive right into it. There's a lot of stuff going on that feels off, you know, like who's really calling the shots in this country? Because I don't think it's Biden, but I'm pretty sure I know who it is, as do many others.
Joe, you're absolutely right. Everyone knows it. People are asking me all the time who's running the country, and I tell them it's not Joe Biden. He's just a puppet. Behind closed doors, it's Obama, of course. He's the one pulling the strings with his old pals Pelosi, Hillary, and of course Kamala Harris. Those three are like the three wicked witches of Washington. They sure as hell know how to destroy a country.
The three witches, Pelosi, Hillary, and Kamala, man, you're painting a wild picture here, but it actually makes sense. I mean, you look at the decisions coming out of that fucking White House, it's like there's this hidden agenda that goes way beyond Biden. Oh, and I'm sorry I cussed. It's just an old habit of mine, Mr. President.
That's okay, Joe. Spit it out. Say it like you want to say it. I don't get offended at all. I don't give a shit, to be honest. I cuss too, but not in public. I try to keep as presidential as I can. Anyways, you were saying? Oh, yeah, the White House. Exactly. Obama wanted a third term, Joe. He even said it himself once, joking about running the country from behind the scenes. And now it's exactly what's happening. Biden's just the face. Obama's making the calls with Pelosi, Hillary, and Kamala as his little council of witches, stirring up chaos wherever they can. And they do a good job at that, too.
And here we thought elections mattered, huh? These fucking people have been in power forever, bouncing from one role to another, all to push their stupid agenda. Meanwhile, Biden's just sitting there, lost half the time, and the other half he's fucking asleep, whether he's at home in a meeting or on the world stage. It's unreal.
They've been planning this for years, Joe. The radical policies, the crime, the open borders, it's all a part of the same plot. Obama's in the background orchestrating it, and the witches are carrying it out, each with their own role in the mess we're seeing. Harris pretends to care about the people. Pelosi plays the political mastermind in Hillary. Well, you know her reputation. She's a bloody crook.
Yeah, Hillary's reputation is legendary. A crook in many minds, no doubt. So let's get fictional for a second here. Do you think they're all in some dark, secret meeting room plotting out how to turn the country upside down?
Oh, absolutely. Picture it, Joe. A dark room in D.C., all four of them sitting around a table with maps, red markers, and some kind of sinister plan to reshape America. Hillary's cackling, Kamala's throwing in word salads, Pelosi's calling the shots, and Obama's sitting at the head of the table pulling all the strings.
And Biden, probably watching Matlock reruns somewhere, completely out of the loop. But what the fuck am I talking about? He's probably sleeping somewhere, of course. What was I thinking?
Exactly. Sleepy Joe. They just bring him in for the speeches and photo ops, then send him back to bed. Meanwhile, the witches keep stirring the pot, and Obama keeps steering the ship in the shadows.
The whole thing sounds like a conspiracy novel, but you look at the fucking mess in this country, and it's not hard to believe. I mean, people can't even say what they believe anymore without being shut down. These three witches, they're right there cheering on every censorship bill, every hate speech law, every you name it.
That's because they thrive on control, Joe. They want to shape the narrative, silence opposition, and keep people distracted with nonsense so they can push their agenda behind closed doors. But the American people aren't fooled. They're waking up to the truth, and they know it's time to take back control.
Yeah, and it's funny, you talk to average people, and they get it. They see through all this woke bullshit and the theatrics. People know there's something fishy going on, and they're just fucking sick of the lies, Mr. President.
That's why this podcast is so powerful, Joe. It's unfiltered. People are done with the fake news, done with the official stories. They want raw truth, and that's what they're getting right here. We're exposing the three witches and their puppet president.
Exposing the witches. Man, if you told me a few years ago that this is where we'd be today, I'd say politely that you were fucking nuts. But here we are, and it's all out in the open. People aren't buying the act anymore. They're ready for real leadership.
And that's exactly what we're going to give them, Joe. No more puppet masters, no more witches behind the scenes. Just real leadership, bringing back sanity, freedom, and common sense.
So if you become president, are you taking action against anyone who caused you grief? I mean, all this shit they did to you, Mr. President, was politically motivated and most of it illegal, and it's costing you tens of millions of dollars to defend yourself and hundreds of millions of dollars in fines. I mean, what the fuck? I would chase all these fuckers if they did that to me and I became president.
Joe, let me tell you, I've never seen anything like it. They've tried every trick in the book to bring me down, illegal investigations, phony charges, and fines stacked up higher than the Empire State Building. And you're right, it's cost me a fortune. But here's the thing, when I get back in that office, it won't be about revenge. It'll be about justice. Because when you have people in power who weaponize the government to silence their opposition, they're not just attacking me, they're attacking every American's freedom. So yes, I'll make sure every one of them answers for what they've done. But by the book, Joe, Law and Order. No more corruption, no more abuse of power. It's time to drain the swamp for good. And while we're at it, let me make one thing crystal clear. This administration is getting a serious overhaul. I'm talking about cleaning house top to bottom, because 90% of these idiots in the Biden administration, they're as corrupt as a rat in a cheese factory. They've been playing the system for way too long, and under President Trump, that's over. Look, I'm firing everyone who's been putting personal gain over the American people. CIA, FBI, IRS. Oh, yeah, I'm coming for all of them. They've been snooping around, targeting good Americans and protecting the ones who line their pockets. Well, they're all about to be out of a job. This government's supposed to serve you, not themselves. I don't care what their titles are or how long they've been at it. If you're corrupt, you're gone. President Trump's bringing in real people, people who believe in the Constitution and actually give a damn about this country. So get ready, America, because this is the beginning of something new, and we're taking back the government for the people. End of story.
Would you go after the three witches as well? And if so, for what?
Well, let me break it down in layman's terms. First off, Nancy Pelosi. You also had years of sneaky backroom deals, shady investments, and cashing in on insider information like she's got a crystal ball. Meanwhile, the American people are stuck paying higher prices for everything. That ain't happening under my watch. So putting her behind bars will be easy. Then we got Kamala Harris. Now, let me tell you, prosecuting people for minor crimes while somehow letting the big fish swim free ain't justice. That's politics at its worst. She's played the game long enough hiding behind word salads and fancy bullshit titles. But trust me, all that's coming to an end. She thought she could get away with double standards, not with President Trump in the House. Now, I don't throw the word treason around lightly, all right? But when you got a vice president actively letting in 30 million legal aliens, and many are criminals, stream right across the border, leaving this country exposed and not doing a damn thing about it, well, that's more than just being lousy at her job. That's betraying her duty to protect American citizens. Think about it, Joe. She's ignored the border crisis, undermining the safety of our own people. That's aiding and abetting chaos. And last I checked, when you're letting threats walk right into your country, well, that sure sounds like treason to me. She took an oath to defend this nation, and she's trampled all over it. So, yeah, I'd say we got some grounds here for prosecution and many years behind bars, if not the death penalty. Under President Trump, people in power are going to be held accountable, because it's about time this country sees some justice, real justice, the kind that doesn't let politicians off the hook just because they got fancy titles. Kamala, you mess with America? Now you'll mess with Donald J. Trump. And that's something you don't want to do. And finally, Hillary Crooked Clinton. Do I even need to explain? We got emails disappearing like magic tricks, scandals that make Goodfellas look like a Disney movie, and a record of misplacing classified info. How many years behind bars you think we can give her? At least 50, I think. So America, buckle up, because President Trump ain't afraid to take on the dirty deals and put the people who mess with this country where they belong. And if anybody's got a problem with it, well, tough. I'm here to serve justice, the real kind, the Trump way.
So, Mr. President, I know this has been a digital podcast orchestrated by Chris Dallas with celebrity recreations and not the real Joe Rogan or Donald Trump, but what was covered here today were a lot of facts, I kid you not. And the next thing we're going to talk about is also 100% true, and it was released just yesterday on October the 29th. We've got an article right in front of us that was put out by your campaign responding to President Biden calling Trump supporters garbage, and we'll put it up on the screen for everyone to see. I mean, that's a harsh label to throw at possibly over 200 million Americans that support you, and it pisses me the fuck off to think about Americans being labeled like that by their own fucking president. How do you feel about this kind of language coming from the current administration?
Joe, it's appalling. It's absolutely disgraceful, honestly. It shows how out of touch they are with the people they're supposed to serve. My supporters are some of the most hardworking, loyal, and patriotic people you'll ever meet. We're talking about Latinos, Black Americans, union workers, veterans, law enforcement, Border Patrol agents, everyday Americans of all backgrounds and beliefs. And yet, This administration has labeled them as everything from fascists to Nazis and now garbage. It's clear to me that Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, and their allies don't just dislike me. They have a deep resentment for the hundreds of millions of Americans who support what we're fighting for. But let me tell you this. My goal is to be a president for all Americans, no matter who they are or where they come from. The Biden administration don't just hate me. They hate the idea that everyday Americans want change. That's why we're going to bring everyone together and make sure this country works for all Americans, not just the elites. They may want to divide us, but we're going to bring this country together and make sure that everyone has a voice and a place at the table.
And furthermore, there's also this announcement from you about giving back pay to military members who lost their jobs over vaccine mandates. I mean, that's a huge promise, and I commend you for that. What made you decide to take that stand, and how do you think it'll impact our troops?
Joe, it's simple. Our military deserves respect, not mandates. These brave men and women put their lives on the line for this country, and to see them lose their jobs over a personal medical choice was a slap in the face. When I'm back in office, I'm going to make sure every service member affected by those mandates gets the back pay they deserve. We're going to honor their commitment to our country and make sure they know they're valued. It's about respect, Joe. Respect for the people who defend our freedom.
All right, so final thoughts here. What do we tell the people listening right now who feel fed up, who feel like they're stuck in a country run by the three witches and Obama in the shadows?
I'd say hold strong, don't lose faith. The three witches can only pull their tricks for so long. Eventually, their house of cards will fall. Americans are strong, they're resilient, and they're ready to fight for their country. Just remember, the power lies with the people.
That's right, folks. You heard it here. Don't let the witches win. Thanks for tuning in. And remember, this is still America, where freedom of speech and not a bunch of power-hungry fucking politicians defines who we are. Thanks for being here, Mr. President. And I'm sorry I never invited you here before. What was I fucking thinking? You're not just our president, but you're a fucking cool dude, too, and you crack me up as well. You say hysterical shit to people, and I die laughing so many times. I'm actually on the floor most of the time. Can't keep it together. I had to call 911 a couple of times, thought I might just die of laughter.
Thank you, Joe. Always great to be here.
Hey, thanks for tuning in, everyone. Remember, this is the place to get the real deal, the truth that no one else will tell you. Chris Dallas does it over and over again, one video creation after another, so keep those comments coming, hit that like button, subscribe, and let's keep waking people the fuck up.
That's right, Joe. And folks, don't forget to thank Chris Dallas with Dual Pad and Celebrity Recreations. This channel is one of a kind, bringing you incredible stories you won't find anywhere else. Subscribe, like, comment, and share, spread the word. We're just getting started. Now go out and vote. The elections are less than a week away. Bye for now.